Hey, it's Eli, K Atlas, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a narrated walkthrough of Leaders of the Free World number 2, page 28. One of my favorite pages from the entire book, from the entire series so far, actually, I think. And this is the debut of the redesigned Masuni, also known as Machine. Featuring in this page, of course, is fan favorite character Surreal, the Monkey King Kong Lee, and also our Masuni in question, the redesigned mecha character that we had originally. And I guess I could just tackle that element first. Originally, when Corey and I had come up with the series and designed it and everything, we had wanted a machine, like a big mecha robot, anime style, somewhere in the mix. And originally we had it so that it was a kind of a Gundam style, and that was my thinking. But as we went on, we kind of decided we needed to redesign the look of the robot. And we kind of came up with something just pretty much different, very unlike a Gundam, closer to maybe an Eva from Evangelion, but still very different from that as well. I think we found a really good balance between all of the different kinds of styles of mecha, and I think the design went over quite well with the audience as well once we revealed the look and everything in issue number 2. So a big thank you to everyone who supported the campaign, brought it to life, and hopefully you guys enjoyed how that looks. So getting into the bones of this particular video, right here, this is our big reveal, our big debut scene. So what's happening is basically, without giving too much of the story away for those who haven't seen it, the Tech Twins, Noah and Technique, have summoned the Masuni along with some of the other Pacific Islanders in a kind of ritual. So the Masuni is making his big debut. He's got the ships, the alien ships, the Outreach crashing against him. And this scene had to be as dramatic as possible for the intro to be as cool as possible. So those were some elements that I thought might really sell it. Just the size and the scale of everything. The robot is so big that he's got other ships crashing off of him and exploding, and he doesn't even feel it. There's no damage going on him. And I think that kind of sold the strength of the character as well as the visuals of his entrance. So I originally presented Corey with a few different colors for this mecha robot. Originally, I usually do color sheets and stuff like that when we're designing characters. So I showed him off in green, blue, red, yellow, all kinds of stuff. Corey ultimately settled on a purplish kind of hue. And in any case, if there's a particular kind of color I'll kind of cheat a bit. If there's a color I like, sometimes I'll start with another color and then just use the color slider in Paint Tool SI or Photoshop and just kind of readjust the color to the one it's supposed to be. So in this case I started with red, and then once we kind of solidified where everything went, what colors were where, I changed the color to a purple just with the sliders and stuff. So that's a bit of a cheat code. If you find yourself in a position where you can't quite lock onto the color you want at first, you can just use a different color and then just kind of narrow it down from there. So one thing that I kind of had to fall in line with, and this was established in issue 1, which I was not coloring, was that everything had to be a sunset scene, which, I'm a big fan of those if you're familiar with my work. A lot of the time I'll have that orangey, pinkish, bluish sunset. In this case, Ross Hughes, the previous colorist for episode 1, had already set that scene up. So it was a sunset, and that ended up working to the advantage of this page to make it look even grander, because we have this nice rim lighting, which you also, if you're familiar with my work, I do a lot of that, but it really was played into the story this time. So we've got a bit of a rim light coming down the front side of the robot. It's hitting Surreal as well, but I think the robot is really the focal point of this scene. So the rim lighting is hitting him. I inked it in a way that would allow some space for that to go there as well. I kind of approached the page with all of those different steps and sections in mind. You can see how I've inked it. We've left room for the rim lighting as well as the just regular color and shade of him. think one of the things that allows me to, or rather allows Leaders of the Free World to look as good as it does, is just that Corey gives me a lot of free reign to do, kind of what I want visually. So he'll kind of write the script, point me in the direction, and just, point and shoot, and I'm pretty much the gun, and I just kind of shoot whatever I'm thinking about on the page, design wise and concept wise and color wise and everything. So I think we both have a pretty good synergy for what it's supposed to look like, I think, and he just kind of trusts me to make it happen. So I think a lot of the best shots that we get from this book were just me pretty much having fun with it, within the context of the script, of course. But having a lot of free reign really lends to a lot of surprises and stuff, so you can get a lot of scenes like this, I think. So I'm very grateful to be working with Corey, and we have a really good flow and a really good balance in the way we work. And so we have Captain, I want to say, what is his name? Captain Awesome, Mr. Awesome. And I forget exactly his name, but he's fighting with one of the gladiators from the Outreach up in the sky, right in front of the Masuni and above Surreal. So there's quite a bit of action happening in this page from all angles and all directions. We've got the ships crashing against the robot. We've got the two guys fighting in the air. We've got, more action in the background. We've got the lens flare and the sun all happening in the background. So this was just supposed to be as dramatic of an intro as possible. Now we move on to the trees. We move on to the background elements, which are a little bit for middle ground. So we've got the middle ground elements, which are the trees going here. Very simple colors on the trees. They're pretty much just gradients. When you're dealing with, scenes with a lot of elements like this one, you want to kind of figure out where to strike the balance between detail and simplicity. So for me, I think the middle ground was, and maybe some elements of the background too, we approached the simple route. And those are things that will push your focal point and the subject of your image forward. If you make everything around it look more simple and add the detail where it's needed, those will kind of strike a really good balance and avoid your image from getting too busy or, losing too much detail by having too much detail. So the trees, the rocks, the smoke, those are all pretty much simple colors, simple gradients. And then we add all of the details, all of the brush strokes, all of the focal point stuff to Surreal and to the robot. here's an interesting part, the mountain itself in the background. When dealing with mountains like this and things very in the foreground, I think I kind of started doing it in this particular episode actually. I will color it a certain color, and then I will just make the layer that the mountain or the background element is on slightly more opaque. That way this color of the sky and everything kind of pushes the mountain itself kind of into the background. So it gives this kind of depth perception, I believe was the word. So it kind of makes the thing look like it's further by taking on the color of the background in the distance. And that's more or less kind of how I approach this entire page. After this, just messing around with the sliders, adding some different textures in Photoshop, adding some different details. And besides that, pretty much everything is very straightforward. So once again, thank you guys so much for supporting Leaders of the Free World #2 on Kickstarter when we did the campaign. Thanks so much to everyone who's supporting it on Comixology currently. Thanks so much to all of the reviewers, everyone who basically made this follow-up as big as it was. Many thanks, many thanks to you guys. Thanks again to Corey Pruitt, of course, for having me on board for issue #2. We're heading on to issue 3 shortly. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share this channel, this video. All the subscribers are really appreciated, and more content like this comes every Monday, every Friday as well. So thank you guys so much again. I'll have the finished page at the end of this video, so you guys can check out the comparison of how I colored it and how it turned out. Thank you so much again. I shall see you guys later.
Sana, submit mi sumiyo. Andito sa sana. Sana nas po niya.